In today's latest reports, we discuss the breaking news surrounding Kylian Mbappe, as it has now been revealed that we are showing concrete interest over a potential move. We discuss the imminent departure of Christopher Vivell, what is happening behind this story and what does this mean. So my friends, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Sorry that I wasn't about yesterday to release something, but today I got a double upload for you guys. There is going to be a predicted lineup video for our upcoming friendly game against Brighton today. So stay tuned for that, my guys. And yeah, hope you guys are happy to see me again. I had to come back with a new haircut in it, so hit that like button. Let's try and keep over 3k likes. And before we get into anything, today's video is brought to you by OneFootball. My friends, it's very simple. Download OneFootball to stay up to date to all things pre-season, as well as all things transfer news. Now naturally, with Kylian Mbappe stealing headlines, that news alone will have massive ramifications in terms of the business that certain clubs now do, and maybe potential opportunities that open up due to certain clubs having to sell guys, of course, to free up funds. So OneFootball is the app to have to stay up to date to all the latest transfers happening across Europe currently. And obviously on top of that too, stay up to date to all things pre-season. Later tonight at 12 AM we play against Brighton. I'm going to have a stream out for that. Of course, kickoff information is presented in the app. Get your latest match preview news when it loads, your latest lineup news when it loads up as well too. And of course, make sure you download it to get all the statistical info that comes out around our games too. So my friends, download OneFootball. You'll find a link below in the description and the QR code on screen too. Now let's start with things and let's discuss one of the most alarming stories that has broken over the past 12 hours. And that's over the imminent departure now of recently appointed technical director, Christopher Vivell. Now, he was only hired in December, and right now he is currently on gardening leave. And normally with a strategy like this, it means that, the party that of course hired him to begin with, they use the gardening leave method, to keep employees out of the competitive market for some time. And obviously, Vivell is going to have deep understandings behind like our scouting networks, our systems, and the current structures we're looking to fine tune now at this point in time, so it only makes a lot of sense. But you might be wondering, why exactly is Vivell leaving so soon after his appointment from RB Leipzig was like a massive coup at the time? And essentially it comes down to the fact that there is no real purpose now behind his involvement, and I find that interesting, but it also makes a lot of sense. I'm not bringing this guy's name up because I'm still in love or nothing like that, but it's for the context of the story. But of course, with Mason Mount, of course, signing for Man United, Paul Winstonley was the biggest deciding factor behind that sale. And he's essentially made a power grab at the football club. And, it's normal, of course. It's a corporate setup in that sense. And, people are trying to make sure they're safeguarding their careers and make sure that they're actually applying their knowledge as well too. And listen, Winstonley has done some great business with us. I'm not anti-Winstonley because Mason Mount left. I'm not that immature about things, my friends. But with his greater involvement, with Lawrence Stewart now showing his influence, and we're seeing that with our newfound interest in the league and market. Of course, Badia Shield came based on the recommendation of Lawrence Stewart. We're looking at Ryan Shirky. We're looking at tons of players from that league as well too. And on top of this too, when you add on the fact that Joe Shields is also grown in influence behind the scenes at the club, very likable character, very good guy. Right now, what is the involvement for Christopher Vivell? Even like certain signings that he was pushing towards us, guys like Manu Kone, etc, etc. All that interest is ended right now as we focus on targets that guys like Stewart and Winstonley are promoting for the club. And it does kind of further emphasize the lack of structure we saw last season. And it's very normal. If the structure at the top is not in tune, if it's out of place, if people don't fully understand their roles and the limits for those roles properly, that's going to have a negative trickle-down effect throughout the entirety of the squad and the club. Now, some reports on social media were suggesting that due to this ruling from UEFA, basically suggesting that if you have a multi-network strategy, let's say one of the clubs you own also participates in Europe, UEFA want to make sure there's no conflicts of interest. As it says here, no one personnel can simultaneously be involved in management across clubs within a multi-club network model. And this makes a lot of sense because let's say you're playing knockout round football and Strasbourg find themselves in Europe and we're playing against them. Naturally, is there going to be a conflict of interest? It might be too hard to disprove otherwise. But to even allow an environment where, personal conflicts of interest could potentially happen, that must be nipped in the bud immediately. I understand that because UEFA want to preserve the sanctity of European competition. But I don't think this would be the reason at all why Vivell would decide to leave, because Strasbourg aren't in Europe, and realistically they need to have a great season to get a European spot for next season. So nothing kicks in them for at least another year. Still though, to give my conclusion, you could argue that this was naturally going to be a thing eventually, where, we hired a lot of great experts and we wanted to naturally see how things would evolve over time to really finalize what the potential structure could look like in the future. We needed to outsource the experts, of course, be able to at least even keep things moving at the football club. But now that guys like Winsley, Stewart and Joe Shields are becoming more established right now, it seems like there is no room now for a technical director of Vivell standings, especially when his influence now is at an all-time low and isn't getting necessarily turned to. So that's the first story out the way. So right now, let's discuss the breaking story of this afternoon. And we talk Kylian Mbappe. Now, after all the mad news that broke late last night, I feel like it's only right that I start this story off by giving you guys a quick recap behind how the hell we've got to this situation to begin with. And essentially it comes down to this. It was revealed last night that Paris Saint-Germain have left Mbappe out of their pre-season Asia tour, and Mbappe now has been transfer listed by Paris Saint-Germain. Now it simply comes down to this. Paris Saint-Germain only want committed players. They have not got this commitment from Mbappe, even though they've done everything in their powers over the years to fully have Mbappe on board with their projects. But their fear is that Mbappe now has been colluding with Real Madrid behind the scenes to prepare for a move at the end of the season where Mbappe would leave on a free, as he currently has 1 year left on his Paris Saint-Germain deal, and by doing so Real Madrid can sign him, and then Mbappe could earn around 160 million as a signing on fee by moving to Madrid on a free. So you can understand what the strategy is behind this move, and naturally Paris Saint-Germain are like, no. They've invested over $500 million on Mbappe in terms of giving them contracts and deals, and obviously they can't allow probably the best player in Europe to be leaving on a free and they're earning nothing for it after the amount of money and investment they spent on him. So right now, talk suggests that they want a fee between £100 million to £150 million to sell an Mbappe with 1 year left in his deal. Now let's see how things play out, because it does seem like Mbappe is ready to call the bluff being presented now by Paris Saint-Germain. And he's saying, listen, I am more than happy to sit out and not play any games for the entirety of next season. I'm not worried about my position for the French national team squad for the Euros next summer, because realistically, France will pick this guy regardless if he doesn't even play football for a year. Anyway, I find it kind of funny that Paris Saint-Germain feel a sense of betrayal, which, listen, I understand, but I'm not one of those guys that really has too much sympathy for any board members for powerful clubs. I mean, let's not act like Paris Saint-Germain's board haven't done snakery on snakery throughout. I mean, there's a reason why Thiago Silva didn't remain there, even though he should probably still be at Paris Saint-Germain. We've heard tons of stories behind their secret dealings behind the scenes with their owners, with UEFA, over TV rights, etc, etc. So all I'm saying is that me personally, I don't feel a type of way about Mbappe potentially coming here and being a bad egg based on his relationship with the Paris Saint-Germain boards. I mean, I'll be being serious. I mean, that there's no correlation between how he's dealing with that particular board and how it would be if he came to a club with our current existing structures. I feel like that's just overkill, that's over worrying. And listen, a lot of times Paris Saint-Germain are leaking out these stories to the press to try and create the narrative and control the conversation around Mbappe. And sometimes if you're dealing with very powerful sports stars, these are the typical things that can happen. So I'm not really caring about it too much. The only thing I'm caring about right now are these links, mes amis. I feel like when an opportunity like this opens up, this is once in a generation. Mbappe, on a year left on his contracts, being available on the market, when does that ever happen? So I would be disappointed if we didn't do everything in our power to try and explore the opportunities to try and sign him. It really is that simple. We're one of the few clubs that on paper could find a way to bring this transfer to life. But before I continue on, I want to give you guys a quick disclaimer. Listen, I'm not here to gas up and be we're definitely set to sign Mbappe. I just want to discuss all of the details around a potential move, how things will work in our favor, and how things definitely won't work in our favour. But as the reports state, and they came out from Fabrice Hawkins, he mentions that we are studying the feasibility of a move. Of course, we understand that we'll consider the lack of Champions League football, but with Mbappe's finances, his wages, on top of the transfer fee too, I mean, I guess you're saying goodbye to the entirety of this transfer budget. Now, there are opportunities for us to create openings. I mean, right now, there's still talks of Gallagher and Breuer leaving. Of course, academy guys, meaning that we can account for higher profits now by selling these guys. And you think you could earn at least 60 to 70 million from both. And obviously, I'm looking at Cucurella. We have 4 talented guys that can play left back right now. We don't need all of them. And I feel like you can command more money selling Cucurella compared to the rest. And even then, if you take a little loss, you're offsetting that loss based on the fact that you've got 2 academy grads who are just as good or potentially even better. Now, right now, the only club reported to have had their bids now made public is Al Hilal, naturally. Now, it's saying that they're coming in with a 200 million euro bid for the transfer fee on top of offering 400 million over 2 years. And naturally, they're seeing it like this. Mbappe wouldn't be in Saudi Arabia forever. If he's there for a year or two, that helps promote the league ridiculously. And it's worth in terms of a long-term investment, but let's keep it real. I don't think Mbappe is even considering moving to Saudi Arabia in the prime of his career right now. So if I had to quantify the probability of even being able to sign this guy, I'm looking at it being 5% chance realistically. But at the same time, if you can secure Mbappe, I mean, this is an incredible business opportunity too. I mean, not only does this instantly elevate our chances of competing to win more trophies and for the Premier League title too. This is Kylian Mbappe we're talking about. For me, probably the best player in Europe right now. But think about the sponsor opportunities you can attract. Think about how the Premier League standings now improves even more. It's already the elite league. It becomes an even more elite league. And we saw the power of La Liga during the time when it was Messi versus Ronaldo, essentially. If the Premier League had both Haaland and Mbappe together, that is beneficial for every single club because that maintains the high values in which, the clubs negotiate for TV right packages. So it's just little details like that. And on top of that too, just imagine the advertising, imagine the merch sales too. And in terms of even being able to afford the finances, I think we could, guys like Mbappe, the guy is a brand in himself. He makes a lot of money and typically clubs earn, money from image rights from players. Give this guy a very high return. Give him a very high percentage on the money he makes from his image rights. I feel like there's definitely ways to explore the finances for something like this. And let's not forget that we know that when Bali and Bali first took over, they did have ambitions to one day have a global superstar added to the team. Hence why we've had these simmering links for Neymar behind the scenes for over 2 years now, because he does fit that criteria. And these guys have the experience of securing global stars as they did for the LA Dodgers baseball team. So this is nothing new for them. These guys know how to get these deals done. And that gives me a bit of confidence at least that if we're showing interest and it's confirmed now, that means that these guys feel there's definitely solutions that can be explored to try and sign this guy. Still though, let's come back to reality. We don't have Champions League football. It'd be very interesting to see whether we could entice Mbappe, of course, to play without CL football for a year. But with him coming, you're basically set to secure Champions League football again. The guy had a phenomenal season under Pochettino. He has a lot of friends who are already in guys like Nkunku, Gusto, of course, former teammates like Thiago Silva as well. For a young squad that is completely different to Paris Saint-Germain. I'm sorry, I'm not worrying about the guys we have currently or potentially falling victim to Mbappe influence. I think that's so silly. And I just think that, people are caring. I feel like people are investing too much emotionally into all these stories around him. Listen, what this guy does with the Paris Saint-Germain board, that's a separate thing that doesn't necessarily mean that it translates everywhere. Right now, it seems like Madrid's plan has been revealed. They hope that they could secure him on a free deal at the end of the season, which financially makes it easy for them to afford that. But could they now be forced to have to sell players now to react to fund a move from Madrid? Because I don't think Madrid have 150 mil right now to instantly cash in and buy Mbappe. Otherwise, they'd be doing that right now. So even if we couldn't sign Mbappe, Do new solutions in the market open up now? You're looking at your Valverdes, Tchouaménis. I mean, they're absolutely stacked in midfield. Kroos and Modric are remaining there because they have the Euros that they're aiming to play in for next summer. And naturally, they're going to command a lot of game time too. So if this is the only window of opportunity to secure Mbappe before competition tries to interfere for Madrid, could they be forced to have to sell to make something happen? That wouldn't surprise me, and this is why, regardless of whether Mbappe signs for us or not, I do think that this move now opens up tons of opportunities and possibilities now, and hopefully more quality options present themselves in this market, and it gets you thinking. If Brian continues to play hardball for Casado, knowing the fact that maybe a Tchouaméni or Valverde must be sacrificed now, we could come in with less money to sign these guys compared to the demands that Brian want. It's just a hypothetical, but that's what I mean by this potential merry-go-round that now opens up. So my friends, let's continue to watch the story. A club like us should be showing interest in Mbappe. We got ambition, yeah. As a fan base, we can't be talking about the ambition we have. Yet when guys like this are available in the market, we now want to mouse up and then start worrying about how he's going to start, twisting minds and bringing bad vibes to the club. Bro, please, just don't take those reports you're reading too serious. So my friends, how do you feel about this? Do you think we can get it done or not? Let us know. Or do you think this is even the right move that we should be making? So my friends, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. I'm NiniFC. This is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.